Hello Dimensions class, it's Leah here. Just wanted to do a quick review with the exam coming up this week. I had done some of these last term with my students and it seemed to be pretty helpful. So this is just a little add-on. There is no assignment with this. It's just truly a little bit of a review for you all as we go into the exam coming up this week. Just want to hit on a few high points of things. I know you have been given the key concept guide. Certainly please remember to review that. Also, remembering that your reading is very, very important. I do typically add out the PowerPoints to each module, which is just a little bit of an added plus, but really focusing on the readings and then the discussion posts to help facilitate some deeper thought along with the papers along the way. That's really where the majority of the learning comes from. So I think you'll find that to be true when you take the first exam here coming up, but just want to hit on some of the high points. Obviously, it was a lot of information, so I'm not going to be able to go over everything that's in the test, but certainly just a nice overview, and hopefully you will finish listening to this feeling at least a little bit more comfortable as we talk about a few things leading into the exam. So please make sure that you have a really good understanding of professional organizations and the differences between certain types, such as like a student-led nursing organization versus a state organization, those types of things, and understanding why there are professional organizations. So there are many, many professional organizations, and depending what type of nursing you work in, you know, there's one for WONE, say for the state of Wisconsin, it's for nurse executives. There are national nurse organizations, there are state-led ones, and there sometimes are even community ones as well. And basically the purpose of that is really to continue to maintain high quality standards. You have the ability by joining those to be part of a bigger function within your profession and to help roll out best practice. A lot of times it'll offer you the opportunity to go to conferences, listen to speakers, and really stay current in practice in whatever area or specialty that might be, whether it's nurse leadership or maybe it's critical care nursing or OR nursing. There are organizations for pretty much every specialty, so along with student nurse organizations. So please do try to get involved in those. They are very, very important. As we look at lateral violence, that's something that's real in the workplace, or otherwise known as bullying. Please continue to bring awareness to that. It's really important that we all know that it is truly there. As nurses, we tend to kind of be known to eat our young, unfortunately, and so as new nurses, it's really important for you all to feel comfortable standing up for yourself and asking appropriate questions and being assertive and strong in your communication style, so that that can be flushed out. Because unfortunately, that type of behavior in the workplace really does nothing but bring a disadvantage to our patients. It sets us up for safety issues, miscommunication, those sorts of things. So currently, in many workplaces and where I work, we're training all of our colleagues in different communication techniques to help flesh this out, such as stop the line when you're really feeling uncomfortable with something. Just saying, stop the line, please repeat what you said, I don't understand what you mean. Making sure that we're giving feedback in the moment to people who may be bullying, those types of things. And then escalating those throughout. As a leader, whoever you work for, whoever your one-up is, they should definitely be putting a lot of effort and energy into flushing out that lateral violence. So, you know, definitely have those conversations with your leader as well. As we talk in modern day healthcare, you did some reading on mid-level providers such as nurse practitioners, and just remembering that nurse practitioners are so critical to our healthcare system, as we find that we have less and less physicians going into primary care. So NPs really help to fill that gap where we don't have enough MDs. They also do a great job in the primary care setting. And a lot of times also, a lot of the focus with that can be health promotion, with an RN or an NP working in a clinic versus always a medical doctor as well. So there's definitely a lot of value to that. I certainly hope that a lot of you, are pursuing or thinking of pursuing returning to school for your master's, whether that be education, leadership, or possibly NP, CRNA. All those type of advanced practice nursing are very, very important. Also, as we talk about less doctors going into primary care, we also know that our population of people needing healthcare is growing, and a lot of that is, our average age of our population is increasing. That baby boomer generation is getting older, and people are living longer. So we are finding that there are many more people who need to be cared for a longer period of time. So we definitely need those caregivers. Because of that, we also run into a lot of political issues with everything going on in the political landscape these days. I'm sure you hear about it all the time. Where are we going with the exchange and those sorts of things, and the cost of health insurance is huge, and it continues to skyrocket. So make sure that you have a good understanding of what is called the Affordable Care Act, or PPACA, some people refer it to, the Patient Protection and Affordable Care Act. And what was the goal of that? What is the goal of that? Obviously, we know healthcare insurance costs are not affordable for many Americans. So we want to look at how can we help get healthcare coverage to more people. Certainly is the goal of that. But there are obviously people, not to get political, but people on both sides who feel very strongly as to what the solution to that is. It's interesting where healthcare has evolved. When we started out, most healthcare organizations were Christian run or Christian based. You'll find that most of at least I'm in the Green Bay, Wisconsin area, a lot of our healthcare systems have a very long history with nuns and missionaries and that sort of thing. So it used to be Care for All, and a lot of the caregivers were people who had dedicated their life to that. But as we know, the future of healthcare continues to change, and so that landscape is definitely different than what it used to be. With that, a lot of our caregivers were educated very differently. Make sure that you really understand the difference between diploma nursing, which we don't see very much anymore, at least in the area that I'm in, versus associate degree nursing, and then versus a baccalaureate program. So have a good understanding of the difference of those. And with you guys being in school, that's probably something you researched as you were entertaining coming back to school. And then also looking at the difference of, an LPN versus an RN, and what are the different skill sets? What is the different clinical competency and functions between the two? And then also, as we talked about, with professional organizations and the importance of that. And if you are not a member of anything, please start to think about it. It is a really, really good way to advance your professional practice, as well as network and get to know other people and that sort of thing as well. Have some idea what the nurse practice is. And some basic requirements as to where you can practice. How do I practice in different areas? If I pick up and move to another state, does my licensure follow me, or is it a different process? And why is that important? Why can we not just go practice anywhere? And that is very important, because that is for the safety of the patients that we serve, certainly. And very, very, very much needed. Knowing what like the National League for Nursing would do versus your State Nurse Practice Act versus the American Nurses Association. Every one of those groups have their own niche, and what is the focus between one from the other. They're all very important. They serve different purposes, however, so just have an understanding of that certainly is important. And then as we look back on modern day founders of nursing, you know, Florence Nightingale is one that obviously sticks out to everybody, and just recognizing what a huge contribution she did make to our current state of nursing practice. She put so much value on formal education and not just theory, but also clinical practice. And as we know, clinical practice is a huge part of nursing school. You can take all your theory work, your theory coursework, and that gives you the foundation, but really that's why it's so important that you have so many clinical hours in each area in order to work your way through your degree. But Florence Nightingale had a lot to do with that, certainly with her push. Prior to that, there definitely was not a systematic, formulated approach to nursing education. And then knowing that as nurses, the cap signified service to others. Most schools now have a pinning ceremony, not necessarily a capping ceremony anymore, but just understanding the history there as well. And what was Florence Nightingale's, what was her nickname? Just try to make sure that you have a good understanding of Florence Nightingale and the history with her as well. There's also to the medical side of that, there's the father of modern day medicine. Have some understanding of Hippocrates also. And also just making sure that you do a good review. Overall, like I said, just what we've read in the book. I hope a lot of this stuff that we talked about here today is ringing some bells of some things that you've obviously already read, and we've done some writing on and those sorts of things as well. The exam will be 50 questions, spread out pretty evenly throughout the modules, and after the exam is closed, then we do run a query to get some statistics and all the different sections of the course throughout all of Rasmussen. We get together and just kind of compare questions that may have not been the best questions. Maybe they were worded wrong or just found to be not appropriate. So we'll go ahead and look at that to make sure that there aren't any that statistically are found to be irrelevant. And if so, we will adjust. Unless they all seem to be really great questions, then we will leave as is, but I will keep you all posted on that next week once I know more. But each section tests throughout the week. So just because we're done with our testing, I probably will not have any answers to that for a few days, and sometimes even up to a week after the exam. So please just be patient with that as well. Let me know your thoughts, and if you thought that this little live review was helpful. I certainly do. Hope that you think it was. If there's anything else you need from me, please reach out. I hope you all have a great weekend, and everybody's off to a really great start. Thank you.